Hello, hello, hello. We are live.
Hello, welcome to another Beyond the Sum of Our Parts. We are doing part two of our last week's episode in Faith
Dose.
and Fire, and this is awesome. Today we got a returning guest, Joy, and we got a new one, Miss Kai, and others may pop in at any given time. But if you guys want to join in, please don't hesitate to ask us to leave messages requesting to come in. We will send you the link to join in. And so, with that being said, Jordan's phrase, making t-shirts. We're getting ready to make t-shirts out. With that being said, Jordan, go on.
So, with that being said, thank you, Mike. Our first question leaning into this, thank you all for joining us. We have Kay on as well now, Kay and Kaya and Joy. So, to get us started, last week we talked a little bit about spiritual manipulation, but we really didn't go over what it actually means. So, to kick it off, what do you guys feel like, or how would you explain in your own words spiritual manipulation? You all.
Like, I just feel like manipulation is basically um, when they prey on your weakness, so to speak. So now they manipulate and all your fears and everything that you're worried about, they use that to bring you deeper and deeper in and tell you, okay, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. Or if you don't do this, this is going to happen. So all of that is almost like they play on your fears.
Mm,
And the fact that people are very vulnerable and they're at a low point when it comes to that fear, the manipulation sets in so much quicker.
yeah. So for you, spiritual manipulation is preying on people's fears.
Playing on your fears and your
Yeah.
vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
It's like
Yeah.
when you have nothing else, like all hope is lost, and they're like, "Oh, I see where you are. You're all the way down here. Come with me." And it almost gives them like a false sense of purpose. So now they're just blindly just following wherever because now they feel this innocence
Right.
of purpose that it's like this is where I belong. They all understand me when really they're just using you.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of goes
I
back into
started.
what we were talking about last week as well. But what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I started church when I was very, very young, basically since I was born,
Yeah.
um, and that's definitely has a lot to do with manipulation. I mean, I was a child.
Oh no.
I really hate when that happens. I really hate when that happens.
I don't know what is going on with that connection, but hopefully we can get her back.
Yeah,
But
hopefully so.
yeah, to piggyback off. Oh, wait, she's back. She's back.
Sorry about that. Looks like
That's
my
okay.
phone decided to freak out for a second, but I was a baby. I was a child, so it was my entire life. It was everything. I was at church. If doors were open, that's where I was at. So that, I mean, honestly has a lot to do with the manipulation that I dealt with, growing up, was that you're always at church no matter what.
Right. Yeah, and the question that I had asked before, I think you had popped in and out when that happened, but the question was, how would you define or explain spiritual manipulation in your own words? Um, did either one of you have anything you wanted to contribute before we transition?
Well, like Kay said, since she was a child, I believe that's been the story for a lot of us, especially within the Black culture.
Mm.
I'm not quite sure, but I remember, I don't know what verse it is. Don't quote me on it. You can ask me all you want. I don't go to church anymore. I don't even read the Bible like that. But I remember hearing a pastor or somebody who was spiritual reading and saying that it is a parent's duty to get their children in the church. And so it was that part of a manipulation, because now it's like you're forcing something on somebody to basically be something that, okay, cool. It's
Mm.
cool to introduce them to things, but then when they grow up to not liking it, it's met with shame, and it's met with like, it's like, it
Hmm.
was also, I think one person actually made it out to be like a sin if parents went to church without their children and their children didn't follow God, it would also be a reflection on them or something of that nature. I wasn't quite sure, but I remember something like that vaguely being said, and I was just like, well, damn, we all got it bad, huh? So at this point, it is just like she said, from the womb to the tomb, we're all day church, knees,
Right.
praying, getting it in.
Well, and that goes back to what Joy said about the fear aspect of it. People are all day in church because there's this sense of fear. Like if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you are going to burn in hell for eternity, or you're going to not, be saved, or you're going to whatever. There's very much this sense of fear that comes into that.
And
That
then
plays into that.
sorry.
No, go.
And then like how you guys are saying, like from childhood, you're in it. So the manipulation also starts from there, to where you're being told, don't talk to anybody else, don't be around anybody else
Mhm.
who don't share the same beliefs and values that
Right.
we do, because that's almost saying, okay, if you go over there, you're going to have more of an insight on what's right and what's not, and it's going to go against everything that we're pretty much brainwashing you with. So all
Hmm.
of that, like I said last week, all that isolation, everything, that's all part of the
Right.
manipulation too.
Right. And again, that isolation plays on that fear, because if it was truly faith-based, hanging out with people who don't believe the same thing, I wouldn't be worried about it because I have faith in whatever I have faith in, right? But this fear that hanging out with outside people their beliefs are gonna rub off on me and make me a bad person or whatever, like that. Especially like you were talking about coming from childhood, when you're a child, your brain is so easily, it's so moldable, right? So whatever
Yeah.
people say, you're not going to question it as you mature. So when you get into it from childhood, it's like that manipulation is so much stronger. So yeah, for sure. Anything else anybody wanted to share in terms of
No, I'm
spiritual
pretty
manipulation?
like we're good on that. Hey, Kaya, you got anything you want to drop it on, or you good too?
Yeah, I mean, I've been through it. I hate that I had to say it, but I definitely been through it. It was basically in my teenage years. I mean, I grew up in church. Um, and then because I grew up Baptist, and then I went to a Pentecostal church. And that's when that kind of in the Pentecostal church, that's when the spiritual, manipulation came in and started to play on my faith. Um, I would say the words I can describe it is, I felt like I had to put on a front
Mm,
and to cover up who,
mm,
well, not cover, well, yeah, cover up who I am, just to kind of fit in, because Baptist church, they have a different rule than Pentecostal. It was a time where, I wanted to join a choir, and I remember this like it happened yesterday, because I'm still upset about it. But I remember it was a time when, I wanted to join the choir, and they was like, okay, first, you have to be a member of the church. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. And then they was like, well, I wear, us, black women and black men, we wear our hairs in certain styles and certain African styles. So, they said that, I can't be in the choir or part of the choir because I have braids and I had to take out my hair, and I have like 4C
mm,
hair, so this mess is a lot to deal with, especially in the morning. And that it was just a whole bunch of stuff that I will get into, kind of later on, but it was definitely, I felt like I had to, put on a like I said, a front. But
mm.
I learned to just still stick with God and not really let people, stray me away from what God really says about me, and who I am in his eyes. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
good. You kept your ground and you stuck with that, though. That's really good. I'm proud of you for that, for sure.
hey, Zen, thanks for joining us.
Hi, sorry I'm late. Just a
No worries.
No need to
lot was going on
apologize.
right before I got on.
No need to apologize. We sent the link out to anybody who wants to come in and hop in at any given time and join in. So it's all good. It's all good.
We were just talking about how we would define or explain spiritual manipulation, and then the experiences that we have had in such. So yes. Oh wait, what's happening? Oh, Darian, can you hear us? We got lots of people on today.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for leaning in with us. So we were just talking about how you would define or explain spiritual manipulation. Zen or Darian, if either one of you wanted to chime in on your thoughts on that, you can. Um,
To me, spiritual manipulation is just like any other kind of manipulation, except it's even more insidious in a sense because um, every other kind of manipulation is only kind of using the here and now and mental and emotional tools, but spiritual manipulation is talking about possibly your eternal soul, your morality, trying to make you feel as if you are flawed on a deeper than physical level,
yeah,
deeper than mental level, but flawed, like you can't be redeemed kind of thing. You either do it this way or you're, how would they say, you're part of the forsaken, you're part of the castaways, you're one of those
You're
people
going to
that,
hell.
yeah, you're one of those people that, God's going to come and say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I'm going to cast you into the lake of eternal fire. And it can be over something really, really small or something that they consider really big. And that to me is what makes it so horrible, because they have you in such fear of anything you do, from gossiping to not coming to
Watching
church,
movies.
to going to movies, to wearing certain jewelry, to watching certain movies. It could be so many, wearing makeup, wearing pants, it could be, the list just is endless about what they can try to put you in fear of eternal damnation over, and that nothing else that you do in life matters unless you are following their guidelines of what makes a good, moral, able to be saved person. And so to me, what it does is it puts you in fear of even opening your mind to any possibilities, because you're so worried about, what if I learn the wrong thing? What if I do the wrong thing? What if this is sin? And that's what I think, life is supposed to be about exploration. So they're literally taking away from you the whole way that you can actually grow as a person, because they're intentionally stunting you and intentionally saying that we know everything and all you have to do is learn from us. And there's nothing else out there that needs to be learned or explored.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to mention, sometimes those kind of people, they don't even want you to challenge what they're telling you. So I really agree with everything you said. I'm just gonna piggyback on what you said a little bit. It's like they don't want you to challenge them to what they're saying. Like, just believe what I'm saying.
Right. Take me at my word. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly true. So then, with that being said, with everybody's understanding or explanations of spiritual manipulation, what was the turning point for you all when you realized like something in this situation isn't right? Like what was that moment?
I would have to say definitely. Well, it was after I kind of grew up more and started to just really practice it for myself, and I had to just make a choice. I'm like, okay, am I following God because people told me, or am I following it? Am I following Him for me? And it was a hard decision, because I'm like, my family, like, we all believe in God. Well, some of us, some of them don't, but it came, I asked myself that question, like, when something was like, there's something wrong with this. I asked hold on. I answered that question after I said, I'm taking this time to follow God, not just for, family reasons or church reasons, but for me. And I knew something was wrong when I went back to, when I went back to the Bible, actually. And I have like my Bible here. It says, 1 Corinthians 3, it says, do you not know that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? So looking back at that, it made me understand and be like, oh, okay, I'm not what those people say with me about me. I'm God dwells in me. I don't have to come to church and wear a dress and put my hair in a ponytail and do all this stuff. Like God accepts me for who I am. I don't have to put on this show just for people. Like I'm not impressing people. I'm impressing God. So that what really kind of got me into like, yeah, there's something wrong about the way these people think. Like they might believe in God, but they need some help because it don't say that. So yeah, so that's that's pretty much what kind of opened my eyes to it. And yeah.
I'm a big movie
Um,
nerd, so I'm gonna say, uh, kind of like her, what she said. But what also got me like that, Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn. The way they use God to murder people and kill off people is just nope. And it was just like, and I was like, is this? And then I realized y'all could get people to do something like that. And then it was like easy to witness them do it, not in that villainous killing people type of way, but to shun people, to ostracize people, to make people feel bad, to make people feel guilty, to just basically break down their soul from the inside out. I was just like, they would talk bad about people who wearing different hats, selling them out. Do you notice that in the third? And they would just, I'll never forget one time a person who was not black, who was not Haitian, came in, bum, sitting in. Yo, when I tell you he cleared out the row, he cleared out the row. And nobody welcomed him with open arms. Nobody. I was like, that was literally the defining moment for me. I'm like, y'all BS. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out.
Well,
um,
my defining moment is kind of strange. It's kind of really backwards because I was in a relationship about 8 years ago. It was the first like committed relationship after my divorce. And I was feeling kind of this spiritual emptiness in a sense, because I had just been divorced about 2 years and trying to reestablish myself. So I was dating this guy and I was like, I want us to go to church together because I'm thinking, okay, this is going to build a real strong foundation for us and we're going to go into this new relationship. And so we started going to church together. And it was very different for me because I hadn't been in a while. And that's one of the reasons why I thought that I was having this spiritual void. So he's having one reaction to church. He's getting really involved, believing everything the pastor says. And I'm having this other reaction, which is, that didn't make any sense. And that seems like they're missing all of these ideas that, they're trying to simplify everything to this little soundbite. And so it actually started making us grow further and further and further and further apart. And then the the defining straw was when I actually realized that he became less sensitive to my needs and my desires and my feelings because of church. It was actually training him to almost look down on me and minimize. We had been equal, and then we started going this. And he started to feel like he should be above me and I should be deferring to him. And when I saw that, that was like the thing that said, oh my Lord, what have I done? I've actually created a misogynist by taking this man to church. And it just blew my mind so badly. It hurt me so much and it blew my mind so badly that I was like, I will never go back because I didn't actually realize at the time how many misogynistic messages were in the sermons without them being overt, with them just being really, really subtle. But I began to see the shift in the way he looked at me, the way he talked to me, the way and I was like, the only thing that's changed is us going to church. This is before we do a podcast. This is before all this manosphere, before all that. And I said, oh my God. Oh, and we church literally broke us up.
Wow.
Literally. And after that, I was like, I can't go back because I saw how detrimental it was to Black people, to Black men, to relationships, and the way that this person had been my biggest cheerleader, biggest supporter, biggest push me to my highest level. I had never had that before, and church took it away from me. And I could not believe it. I was like, oh my God. And that was it for me. I was like, If this is what church does to people, I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need
The
it.
misogyny is very real to the point that people don't even name their daughter Jezebel. Think about
Mm.
it. When the last time you know the Jezebel in her 40s and not everybody refer to her, ooh, you bad. You bad. She is the Karen of back then. You can't be called, you can't name him, you can't name her a Jezebel. Your parents are the devil. Like straight up. The misogyny was real. The misogyny was real.
Yeah.
For me, so like I said, I was in church my entire life. Like probably 2 days after I was born, my mom had me up in church. And as I got older, um, I was a part of everything. Choir, children's church. Every time doors were open, I was there. And then they stepped me down from the choir. No real reason. They said I said something that I never said. And I couldn't go back and say, no, I didn't say that. I couldn't argue it. I was lying. And there was no way to prove I wasn't. So then they stepped me down from children's church. I wasn't even invited to the meeting that they stepped me down in the children's church for. And that broke my heart. These are people I've been with my entire life. These are people I'd known. And they just decided that I wasn't welcome to be part of these teams anymore. And didn't even like really give me a chance to speak out on my behalf. And I realized like I can have faith, but I do not need man to be part of that faith because man corrupts. And honestly, by being out, stepping out in a way, I've learned so much more about my faith. I feel like my faith is stronger for one, um, because I don't have anyone else's voice in my head telling me what the Bible states. I can read the Bible straight up and find out for myself. And but yeah, the church really did break. When I say they broke my heart, they broke everything, everything that I love.
I
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to. Oh,
No, I was gonna say I'm sorry to hear that. That's really sad though. That's really, really sad. But go ahead, Kai.
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say that's sad. Yeah, that's crazy. But I do understand when you said like kind of, you know, knowing and reading like for yourself. And for I don't go to church. I've tried it, and I tried it a couple times. I don't know. I'd rather just sit home and read just from the Bible on my own time. Because I do get what you're saying, and having that feeling of what did I do, and why wasn't I included in this meeting, so I definitely get that. But yeah, I don't go to church or anything like that. It's not that I don't have anything against it. I just think it's better, like you said, Kay, when it's coming from you having that one-on-one time instead of hearing all these different voices and stuff like that. And then you have false prophets, and it's just a bunch of stuff. So I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah. I think in hearing your story, Kay, the biggest thing that shakes me is the fact that no one had a conversation with you. No one came to you to hear your side of the story, to explain to you this is what we heard and this is what's happening. It was just like, again, it goes back to that control dynamic, the hierarchy thing that we talked about last week. It was just like, we're up here, you're down here, we're going to make all the decisions and you just have to live with it. And how that affects you, that's not our problem.
Like,
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you had to experience that. Go ahead.
my defining point was basically I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, so it got to a point where I was expected to be baptized to set an example for the other girls in the congregation, and I didn't want to, but I did it just to get them off my back, so to speak. And I already knew everything what to say. I could quote you scriptures, whatever they wanted to hear. I knew exactly what to say to basically get approved and everything, right? So probably like a year or so later afterwards, I started going out and doing my thing and everything. And I guess the elders found out that I was out in the world doing stuff, having sex or whatever. And there was three of them, and they sat me down and they said, basically quoting me from the Bible and everything. And at that point in my head, I'm like, who are you to interpret the Bible to me?
Mm.
Like, who gave you that type of authority to say, well, this and this and this that you did was wrong, and now you're expelling me from the congregation? So now nobody in the congregation, not family members, no one is allowed to talk to me, to associate with me. So therefore, it goes deeper into the manipulation part because now this religion has brainwashed you so much to where you don't even talk to your own family.
Mm.
Yeah, I
And
know
that
about
to me is just dead wrong because you have no problem going outside, knocking on all these doors and everything, talking to complete strangers, but you got your loved ones, your blood sitting right here in front of you, and you act like they don't even exist.
Mm.
So that for me was it was like more stuff to it, but that was more like the icing on the cake for me to where it's just like I don't even want to. Even if I thought about going back, that fact alone, I don't even want to because if this is how you treat people and you're supposed to be oh so loving to everybody, I don't even want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
that is definitely harsh, and it is just crazy. And it's one of the things where I kind of laugh at a little bit. I know it's probably in poor taste, but I still laugh at it at times because it's just like that's what they do to all of us, man. They make us feel bad, and then they read the Bible to you and they throw it in your face like it's a literally a switch to your soul. They trying to tear pieces of you away, but then they forget the most important part: when three or more come together and speak of me, that is the church. But not this grand building, not the like Zen
Mm.
said last episode, not the deacon, the whole list and the whole group.
The
Nah, it
hierarchy.
ain't even
Mm-hmm.
about that. It's coming together to have a conversation. It's coming together to speak and to praise and likeness and differences and everything else. Just to have that conversation is the whole point of it all, and it's in there. But then they use the same tool to basically break your soul, break your spirit, and half the time they
Mm.
break your body with it. You ever been hit with a Bible? Shit hurts. Okay, just letting you know.
No,
I have.
thank you.
Shit hurts. Oh man, crazy world, crazy world. How about you, Darren? You got any examples of your own?
I have a few examples of my own just because um I was raised in the church too. My dad and my grandmother are both pastors, so of course my new situation, I have a 1 year old, so of course that was already a frowned upon when I walked in the church with no husband
Mm.
as my first child. So that's just, one thing. It's like, oh, she's a preacher's kid, so she should know better. So
Mm.
that's like already a high expectation that we can't make mistakes because I have someone very close to me that's sitting at the pulpit. So
Mm.
it was very uncomfortable, and I have not been back to church since my son was 4 months, and he's one now. So
Wow. I think a lot of the things that keep coming up, like the thread and most of what everybody is saying, is this sense of judgment. Uh,
very for such a
Yeah.
situation to not be judgmental.
yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
know what happened to the saying, "He without sin cast the first stone." I feel like
Yeah.
they don't care about the whole.
I was just
He
about to
said it
say that
himself, but it's
too.
like they don't care. He said it in the writing. That's the what. He without sin cast the first stone, and they cast the stone like they ain't got no sinning going on. I'm just like,
Yeah.
bro, this don't make no sense for me. That's the thing that
I
hurts
figure
my
since
soul.
they're all of age and they may have already succumbed to their karma and dealt with their karma. It's like, or just their lives period when they're in that 50 or more age category. It's like it's easy to frown upon the younger generation.
But the
That's
crazy
just the
thing
one
is that
thing.
majority of the people in that generation were doing the same things
Exactly.
that's happening now. So it's like,
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And of
but
course, you
you
got
know, it's okay what they were doing.
No, right, right. It is okay what they were doing, but and it's like how Jordan said, the people in that generation they were doing the same thing that we were doing. It was just a different time. Social media wasn't around, internet wasn't around, but it was just like it's just the craziest thing where they literally would set up marriages for people just to make sure you guys stayed together in the church, and when you didn't stay together, it was like you both are bad, you both going to hell. There's something wrong, and then the husband doesn't come in. The wife still goes to church faithfully because she believes, but then they still give her the side eye. Oh, look at her, she can't keep a man. What did she do to drive him off? Type of thing. And I'm just like, yo, people change jobs every day. You know what I'm saying? A relationship, great, cool. We vibed. It didn't work. We tried it. We gave it a full chance. Thank you, the church, but you did wrong. Rather than take accountability and acceptance of you did bad matching and pairing, and your spiritual counseling before the marriage wasn't that strong like you thought it was. You rather shame, ostracize, and just make people feel unwelcome and unloved by God, because rather than looking into yourself, instead of saying as a pastor or the parishioner counselor who got people married, how can I do this better? How can I learn to be a better person and help marriages in the future? Instead, nope. Hey, we don't win. We win some, we lose some. That's the devil's work. Or you blame it on the devil. And it's like, no, bro. At some point in time, bro, it's like, listen, you set people up with the wrong people for the wrong reason, and you didn't do your due diligence.
Yeah.
Well, but that
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, it's so strange to me when people talk about, you should wait on God for your husband or wife, right? Because if we're talking about Adam and Eve, in the last situation, if you go by the Garden of Eden, God is a horrible matchmaker. I mean, Adam and Lilith didn't work. Adam and Eve didn't work. And then you have stories like, I'm waiting on my Boaz. Women will say that I'm waiting on my Boaz. Well, they obviously haven't read the Bible, because Ruth and Naomi did not wait on Boaz. They were coming back from the land where their husbands had died. And Naomi, the mother-in-law, said, we need to get you married. I've got a cousin who's unmarried and he's kind of old, but I'm going to put you around him. You're going to go glean his garden. Well, it wasn't a garden, it's probably a field. Go glean that garden every day. He's going to see you. He's going to say, oh, let me check out. She's unmarried. Let me go marry her. But he didn't do it. He didn't take the bait. He did not take the bait. So they said, okay, the harvest has come. He's going to get drunk because they're going to be celebrating the harvest. So I want to perfume you. I'm going to wash you, perfume you, put you in some nice clothes. You sneak into his bedroom while he's drunk.
Pimped him out.
Now, yes, Naomi pimped her out because she knew if they got caught alone, he either had to marry her or they were going to stone him.
Yep.
So literally, she put them both in death of being stoned to get her married. And when he woke up, saw this woman on the floor by his feet, he was like, oh, she's really desperate. I better marry her before she do something worse than this. And so the next day he started a procedure to get married to her. And if you look in like Jewish history, right, they say that Boaz was so old that he didn't even make it out like the week. Like they were literally married like a week or so and he died. Which is fine for her.
She put it on him.
You waiting on Boaz, you waiting on a man on his deathbed.
Hey, she put it on him. She had that snatch.
Yeah, who's gonna die right after you get married, and you got to be willing to chase him down, get employed at his job, and then wait till he gets drunk and break into his house and slide in his bedroom and hope you don't get the cops called on you. Hope that he wants to marry you after all that.
Hey, yo, Zen, I'm not gonna lie. Zen, I'm not gonna lie.
The stories in the Bible about marriage are crazy. Huh?
The church people gonna hate you, Zen, because you telling stories they ain't teaching.
But it's the truth.
Listen,
it's the truth, though.
Listen, you telling people the stories that they ain't even talking about in the church. They don't talk about Lilith. They don't talk about the story you just said. They do the Adam.
But they talk about you should have had incest. But you got these two women seducing their father.
Yeah. No, just
the Bible.
Listen. Your knowledge is wonderful and great, and this is basically you gonna catch a lot of heck for it. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
But that goes back to the manipulation piece. We can't pick and choose which parts of the Bible you want to
the cherry picking. The cherry picking.
100% the
Yeah.
cherry pick you, because at the end of the day, how many of us today, before today, how many of us heard that version?
I never heard that version.
Well, I mean, I knew it, but the way she interpreted it, it made so much more sense.
It was mind blowing to me. I didn't hear that version until today, and I'm like, I believe
Yeah.
it because I know for a fact if I read it through, I would have read it the same way too, and I would have got it. I was like, you dirty scatter. That's wrong. Understand? That's wrong. You don't pimp out your daughter like that, man. Oh, man, them. Yeah, damn
But I
it.
think that's part of the
But
reason why most religious leaders don't encourage their people to truly read the Bible, study the Bible for themselves, because they're gonna find
Yeah.
stuff and be like, "What in the
no,
world?"
the whole Old Testament. They don't want to focus on the Old Testament. They want to focus on the New Testament because the stuff that went down in the Old Testament, you really looking at them sideways, like, so
Yeah.
we're really going to keep following this?
No, and that's
And
the whole thing about the New Testament and the King James and all of those things. I was like, bro, who gave you permission to do this? Like, no, I'm just like, I'm all about people writing books. Hey, listen, we writing books, we gonna read your books. But who gave you the permission to try to tease up your whole story of the Bible? You only had one prophet, one Jesus. I ain't seen another one since. So who gave you permission to rechange it, bro?
Exactly.
I'm just
but
saying.
also, if you look at the Bible, like let's take the story of Abraham and Isaac, right?
Oh my God, this story keeps coming up.
So when Abraham took his son up to the mountain to kill him, he did it because all of the gods at that time expected child sacrifice. So when Abraham was told to do it, he doesn't question it because that is the norm. So Jehovah God is fitting the norm of every single God of that time. He's not different. And they want to make it seem like in Christianity, the God is so different from all of these other fake pagan gods. No, the fact that an angel said, "Oh no, I was just testing you. I was just testing you." Abraham believed it was real and was ready to plunge that knife because that would have happened in any other temple, in any other, altar, right? That was the norm back then. So when we read these stories, we also have to keep in mind that the way it's portrayed was normal. It was normal to sacrifice children to gods. That was not crazy to them. Blood sacrifice was a part of almost every religion.
Culture.
Yeah.
And so Judaism was not different. In fact, the only thing that happened was they began to sacrifice lambs and sheep and goats. They still have blood sacrifice, So they want to make it like, oh, we're so much better. No. You started off the exact same way. It's just you've cleaned up the story a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In order to keep the man in control, we're losing the women, fellas. We gotta clean up the story. Let's kill some animals instead. We're not killing their babies anymore. We're not killing the women anymore because we're losing them. We're losing them. The lineage is dying. They're not gonna trust us. We gotta switch up.
But they started that from Cain and Abel, because wasn't that the whole reason why they beefed in the first place? Because one offered up vegetables from his field, the other one offered up an actual blood sacrifice, and he's just like, well, he's gonna like mine better, and that started the whole beef between them.
Yeah,
there's you want to talk about me telling the crazy stories. There's another version of why Cain's sacrifice wasn't accepted. When Jesus is talking to the Pharisees, he says, "You are of your father Cain, and he was a liar and a deceiver from the beginning, and you are children of Satan." And he links Satan and Cain. So there is a belief in some Christian circles that when the serpent came to Eve in the garden, it was not about no apple. It was
Not no apple.
The serpent was the devil, slept with Eve, got her pregnant with Cain. And when she was with Adam, there was Abel, who was, that's Adam's child. So you have the devil's child and you have, Adam's child. And so you hear the seed of Cain a lot in different parts of the Bible, as if the seed of Cain is the seed of Satan. So that's a whole nother alternate story.
I just want to hear you interpret the whole entire Bible because I actually
Bible
might
series
enjoy
is
it a little
good.
bit better.
There's also another theorized version of it as well, and it's nothing like insane. It's just that when Cain gave his fruits and vegetables, he picked the worst.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
he picked the ones that were unfavorable, the bruised and the stuff that was half rotted, and that's what he gave to God, and that's why God refused his gift. But that's another way they theorize it too.
Hmm.
Okay,
That
I'm like, so
while
he said the man can have a
Abel
bad
gave his
crop.
best,
He's giving up. He's giving up. He's picking and he's giving up bad crops. So, like, bro,
right?
there's no refrigerator, my G. What you expect? You know what I'm saying? There's no bags preserving. There's no bags preserving shit, bro. Like, what you expect? Fresh fruit every day. I gotta walk. I gotta walk 3-4 days till you shit gonna get moldy. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, there's,
No.
there's no wax filling covering around it to keep it fresh and crunchable,
Oh
bro.
my
So,
goodness.
come on. Come on. No, listen. I'm just saying. Like all of it is just like, bro. Cain and Abel, the whole thing. Like it's just like, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Y'all finna be in trouble. The religious community gonna shut us down. Y'all finna be in trouble. I love it though. Straight up.
That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Uncomfortable conversations.
Oh man, that's just real talk. It's
It's
just
not gonna be
crazy
the
though.
first time. I'm wearing the ankh, right?
Yeah.
And I post every now and then, especially around the holidays. I'll post the ankh because the cross, right,
Hmm.
it's a male symbol because the ankh is supposed to
Female.
represent. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, it's the womb at the top, that circle at
Mm-hmm.
the
Hmm.
top, the woman's legs, and then the phallus, right? The phallus enters the woman, the baby's in there. So it represents life. It represents man, woman, join creates life, right? But when you have the cross, it's man, man. There is no woman. There isn't the Trinity in the Christian church is also Father, Son, Holy Spirit. They're supposed to all be male. The
Mm-hmm.
Trinity in the African tradition is the father, the mother, and the child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I see
So
why. Mm.
so there's a
Well, yeah,
lot.
because how can you create life with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit? Where does life come in?
Incest.
So, the
Even
But
in
you
okay,
incest, there's still
you
no life.
impregnate a
It's
virgin, named Mary. That's how you create life. You have to go and get
surrogacy.
somebody else's engaged wife, right? And
actually,
yeah.
traditional Jewish, so traditional Judaism, the Holy Spirit has a different name. It's also known as the feminine presence of God. And Christianity just basically took that away. And the Holy Spirit or the feminine presence of God has been there since the beginning.
Well, there's God has a wife in the original version of the Bible.
Yeah.
Ishtar. You see it sometimes in
Yes.
different parts of the Bible where it will say the wife of God or the consort of God. And so originally Judaism was not monotheistic. It was a God goddess religion. There was God and his wife, And there's even books you can actually get, called The Wife of God, and it will actually take you through the scriptures and take you through how originally that Judaism was God goddess and that it was changed, later.
Mm.
Of
You know
course,
what's
that
crazy?
makes sense.
Everything I'm learning right now sounds like it would have been great. It's like an awesome version of Game of Thrones. Straight up, awesome
But I
version
think,
of
that's what
Game
the
of
Bible was,
Thrones.
though. It was just a Game
No,
of
no, real
Thrones.
talk. No, it's like an awesome version of Game of Thrones, and it's just like if Hollywood could tell the truth and not get in trouble for it, they would. But they know it's going to be a lot of people going to jail, a lot of people being set up with drugs, and little children somewhere in their basement hiding, whatever. But it's just really crazy. Like everything you learn from different people is like it's great when one person's knowledge supersedes your own and you're not jealous of it. You're just learning and you're taking it in and you're going to apply and you're going to do your own research on it. And I encourage everybody to do it because I'm going to do it too eventually. Anyway, but yeah, man, it's just like, again, we talk about the manipulation aspect of it all. And it's crazy how they want to, what is that? What we got?
That's the fish. That was the original symbol for the vagina.
I can see that. I can see that. I've
I
been
can
down
see
there
that.
before.
Yeah.
It's
I've been
so
down
many
there
things
before.
that were co-opted.
Well, Yeah, like another thing, it is not the Bible where it states where they state it states it is not good for man to lay with man. It is not good for man to lay with child. Now tell
Mm,
that to a bunch of Catholic priests.
mm,
Hey, hey,
mm,
listen.
mm,
I heard a story about that. A girl at my one job was like, yo, her husband, and he was an altar boy, and he said he would run for them all the time because they would brush up against him and make him feel
Oh
uncomfortable.
no.
And he said he
Mm-mm.
dropped out of it. But then but then it was always a thing in the Catholic Church, apparently, which I've heard, and I kind of believe too, because I'm like, bro, I don't like the way they grasp the shoulders and stuff like that. Because
Mm-hmm.
my family, they was
They're
finding their
very
voice,
touchy
they were
feely.
finding their way in religion, and so we was Catholic at one point, and it was like you should be the altar boy. I'm like, why? To hold the stick? What I look like? But
Mm-mm.
I got to do what my parents tell me. So you got to study, you got to do all the things. And I'm like, man, I don't care for that shit. But they get. I ain't gonna front. I'm not saying that they ain't try me, but I just feel like they get handsy. I'm like, bro, what? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not used to affection because the household, we're Caribbean. We don't do that shit. But yo, man, what you doing, bro? Like, you know
Mm.
what I'm saying? So, like, oh, I get it. I get it. And it's just like it's not okay. It's none of it's okay. None of it's okay. But they'll cover it up and they'll manipulate the entire globe if they have to keep that status quo. And it's
Yep.
just like and the funny thing, like Zen was saying and bringing it up, it's like it portrays women to be the villain. It portrays women to be not on the same page as men, not on the same level.
Mhm.
And like let's be real. Some of y'all can't lift the things that we can, and some of y'all probably can't kill the bear. But at the end of the day, your strength is your power, is your femininity, is your mind, is the ability to teach and to share and to basically encourage and like grow because you literally grow life.
Yeah, we
But
nurture.
That's what I
I'm
We are
saying,
loved about
nurturers.
my church. Because, I mean, when I went to church, my pastor never did the whole women can't lead, women can't teach, women can't do this, anything like that. Him and his wife used to say, he may be the head, but she's the neck, and it's the neck
Yeah.
that points the head where it needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Yeah.
mhm.
My
Um,
only issue with them is that they broke my heart, but I would have stayed with them forever if it wasn't for that.
Mm.
Mm,
Kai, you had something to say?
yeah, I know. Like, I heard y'all say something about the Holy Trinity, and I just wanted to bring up scripture to basically kind of explain it better. Because even with me, I didn't really understand what the Holy Trinity was. So basically, again, it is the God, Father, and the Holy Spirit. So how they make one, it says in John 14, verse 15, it says, if you love and obey my commands, I will ask the favor and he will give you another advocate who will never leave you. Verse 17, he is the Holy Spirit who leads you into all truth. The world cannot receive him because it isn't looking for him and it doesn't recognize him, but you know him because he lives with you and now later will be in you. So basically, after Jesus died on the cross, he sent us that advocate, and that advocate is more of it is more of like a sense of God's spirit and his feeling that comes upon us for basically anything. It's just the advocate of God, so it's not incest. It's not anything like that. It's his spirit, but he left his spirit when he went to heaven. And then and then it's something else. I think it's in Hebrews. I can't find it right now. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to explain that more because somebody said it was incest and that's not correct. But yeah, I just like to bring scripture into stuff because I think it's a certain way that I think scripture just makes it clear on what like it says instead of basically going off of either something that we think that we know or something that we heard. It's just better to go directly to the word to understand it better. So yeah.
I
Well, I
totally
wanted to
agree.
say
Well, I knew Zen was gonna say something.
about the Trinity and Jesus being the Son of God were two things. Well, it's a bunch of them, but if you look up the Council of Nicaea,
Mm-hmm.
it was a group of religious leaders that decided that the Trinity was God, three parts in one, because there was a lot of different factions of Christianity. There still are, but they were fighting for who is going to be the official version. What is going to be the official version of Christianity? And they got together and they decided, is Jesus the Son of God, or is Jesus God incarnated as man? And they decided on, he is the Son of God that physically came to earth, but he is God as a man, because those were originally two different things. If I have a son, that son is not me. And the way most people saw it as, you can't be God the Father and God the Son. Those are two different things. You can't be a son and a father at the same time. But the Council of Nicaea said, oh yeah, it's a supernatural thing. You know, you can basically take the spirit from heaven, and since he's all present, he can be in heaven and on earth at the same time. He can be a spirit in heaven and a physical man on earth too, because it's supernatural. So that was something they decided on. And they decided that the Trinity was a thing, that there were three versions of God, but they were all one. Because again, there were different versions. There were people saying, no, Jesus is completely different. He's completely a man. He died, he was resurrected, and he's sitting next to God. And those are two different beings. They are not the same. Okay.
Now, before we go anywhere real quick, Zen, last episode you didn't tell us what you studied and when you learned. For those that are new, because we got through new people here, Jordan, you guys also studied. Please, Zen, you go first, and Jordan after. Where did you guys get your information from? Because I remember you guys studied and you guys were what was it again?
So, me, or are you asking Jordan?
No, I'm asking you, Zen. I'm asking you.
Oh, I went to seminary. So it used to be called what was it called? Oklahoma. It was an Oklahoma. It was used to be really famous, but I can't remember the name of it now because it's way back. But it was like Oklahoma Bible College or something like that. But anyway, they had a satellite through our church where basically they sent the curriculum. You had virtual meeting. Well, they didn't call them virtual back then. We had video lessons, basically what they called them. And so basically you were there, you had the lessons, you submitted them to Oklahoma, they graded them. So we literally physically met on a campus that was a satellite of the church. And so I went to seminary for a year in Houston, but it was an Oklahoma Theological Seminary. And it was through a really big pastor at the time. I can't even remember his name now. But anyway, I went there for a year. So you learned a lot of stuff. But I continued my own personal study after that. And I literally read, at one point I had read every book that was related to the Bible at the Lone Star College near my house. I literally read the entire section. It took me about 5 years to do it, but I've read hundreds of books on Bible theology and all kind of different religions and the history of God. I used to post I used to get banned from Facebook all the time because I used to.
I can imagine. They're gonna do us too.
Excerpts from here's the history of God, here's the history of religion, here's this book. I used to post little, screenshots of different things that I thought were really fascinating. This was what I wanted to share with you guys. It's a couple of scriptures, and I was going to let whoever was talking next. God has a womb. Job 38:28 and 29 says, does the rain have a father, or who begot the dewdrops? From whose womb did ice come from? And who gave birth to the heart trust of heaven? Deuteronomy 32:18 says, you were unmindful of the rock that gave you birth. You forgot the God who suffered labor pains for you. Psalm 22:9 and 10 says, from your belly you drew me forth. You put me on the breast of my mother. On you I was cast from birth. You are my mother, my God since belly. So those are actually three versions or some verses, that talk about God having a womb. So
no, don't apologize. This is what we're here for. You did a great job, Jordan. Where'd you learn from as well?
I went to Charleston Southern University for a year and Columbia International for a year. Both of them are Christian schools that require you to double major in whatever you're majoring in and biblical studies. So I learned about the Old Testament, New Testament, ministry, all the things. And then I'm just a natural born researcher. So after that, I just went into a rabbit hole of like, this doesn't make sense. I need to, much like Zen, read all the books, do all the studies, all the things. Yeah.
I love the fact that I am surrounded by such wonderful, superly intelligent women. This is so dope. Sharing and teaching, and teaching the world your knowledge, and basically not hiding the truth that some people would like us to learn, the hidden truth rather than the actual honest truth. Again, appreciate you ladies for that 100%. Getting those studies in, knocking it out. Because I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't care for it too. That's just me. That's just me. Hearing other people talk about it, teach about it, absolutely. I'll sit in lectures all day, but doing the researches, nah. But great. You guys did a great job on that. And I say all of this. To basically promote the fact that everybody's learning in the Bible is different from everyone else's. Those that went to actual school and actually did the study and reading the actual text required a great deal of time and effort that most of us probably don't even do. Yeah. Carry on.
I just want to pop in on what Kaimiko said. Hi, everyone. Why can I not read this? I'm learning that Jesus is the living word, the Bible being the written word, and Jesus being the physical word that walks the earth. And Zen is beyond impressive. Yes, she is. And then with that, okay, as we're winding down, because we have like no minutes left, one last question to take us out of this. So looking back, what advice would you give to your younger self experiencing spiritual manipulation?
Oh, don't everybody rush at once.
All that glitters ain't gold, and just do your own research, because you at that point there was a whole bunch of encyclopedias, Encyclopedia Britannica, Axe Cheese. Just do your own research, look into stuff, and just look for the truth for yourself, and let that lean upon what they say, lean upon your own understanding. Do not lean upon your own understanding, but at the same time, you have to know what it is that you're learning, so that way you can actually lean on something.
Yeah.
I would tell myself to live my life a little more. Like, don't sacrifice your entire youth for people who aren't going to be there for you when you need them the most.
I don't think I would tell myself anything, because everything that I know what it's like to be on the other side. I know what it's like to be a diehard believer, to believe every single word of the Bible. I know what it's like to be in the church morning, noon, night, and every time the door is open. I know what it's like to be in ministry. I know what all of that is like, and I know what it's like when you lose all of that and you're trying to get it back, and you realize that you can't go back, because it's just not real. In a sense, it's not real. Faith is real, spirituality is real, God is real, religion is a bunch of made up stuff. So there's a big distinction to me with that. So I would let myself go through the whole journey, because I can relate to everybody on that journey. I can relate to the people who are in there completely immersed, believe every word that comes from the pastor's mouth. I can relate to them, and I can relate to the people that are atheists, because I have been through all of those stages, and I'm now at the stage where I'm very spiritual. It's just divine laws. It has a different way of looking. So I can relate to everybody wherever they are. So I wouldn't say anything to my younger self. I'd be just like, I love you, girl.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
I was gonna say, I would just tell my younger self, like, girl, God got you, girl. Like, He got you, and not really worrying about what people say, or even like resources or anything like that. Just go. I would say, just spend that time with God and really know who He is, and don't be spiritual, like blinded by what, like because that can happen. So I would just tell my younger self, like, just do it for you, and know that he's gonna pick you up, and he's gonna lead you to certain verses or certain certain stories to even motivate you. So I would just say that, and definitely be surrounded by people who I would say definitely like want to know, and even if they don't know God, or even if they're trying, just surround yourself with people that they're willing to listen, they're willing to understand. Even if someone else might have, they grew up in like a using church as abuse, or whatever like that. I would say definitely just go for it, and know that what people did in the church, it had nothing to do with you. It had all to do with them, because God isn't a God of all this stuff. He's a God of love, and so I would definitely just tell my younger self, like, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Anything else?
Derry, you got something, or you good?
No, I would just really just say take what they say with a grain of salt, because your journey is going to be your journey, and nobody else can rewrite your story. People try to put themselves in your position of what you were going through at that point in time, and I remember when I was younger, and they try to implement it on themselves, and it's like, my story is not your story. So really, it's just take everything with what they say is a grain of salt in life, and God will teach you the rest with guidance.
Thank you. Kaimiko says, advice to myself looking back: distractions are everywhere. My purpose was written before my being. Nothing is a surprise to God. Just endure it all focused. Endure it all focused. Thank
I
you,
like that.
Kaimiko.
I like that. I like that. What I would tell myself is, he loves you. Don't listen to what everybody else is saying. Don't let everybody get to you. He loves you for who you are. He will always love you for who you are. And what you're learning right about now, take it as a grain of salt, like everyone else is saying, and be open minded, and never, ever be close minded of any other religious group or anyone else's teaching. For that is the only way you can grow to be the better version of yourself.
I would say, piggybacking a little bit off of what everybody else said, I would tell my younger self that God is love, and that everything is happening for my growth, even if it doesn't feel like it. And that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, even if I don't want to be. So with that being said, that brings us to the end of another wonderful episode. Thank you all for leaning in with us and sharing your experiences and your insights. We truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, as always, our role is not to dictate outcomes or conclusions, but to encourage self-reflection and open, honest conversation to help us better understand the world around us, but most importantly, ourselves. So we invite you to keep the conversation going in the comments, like, share, subscribe, so you'll never miss an episode. We're on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and all the social media platforms. Whatever you're fancying, get on there, follow us.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling super generous, you can leave a rating on Apple, Spotify, Apple Podcast. We're there as well. So thank you for leaning in and going beyond the sum with us. Until next time.
Oh, wait. I got one more thing. I got one more. I'm so sorry. I got one more thing. Basically, check out Zen. She's got a lot of books going on. Wonderful, wonderful teacher. Go ahead and check that out. Also, again, the subscription aspect of YouTube doesn't mean you gotta pay. Just like, just subscribe, and just follow us. You ain't gotta pay nothing. It gives me a lot of time. I gotta repeat that, because when I hear it, it still does the thing to me where I'm like, I'm not spending money. And it's me. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Finish, Jordan.
That's it. Bye.
Bye.
Y'all. Oh my God.